Good morning and welcome back to the channel. I'm standing here on the deck of one of our rental campers. This is the rental camper on site 14. It's just a little tiny 16-18 footer that is just for a single couple. It only has one bed in it, no bunks, none of that stuff. It's just a tiny little camper. But the big selling point with this camper is its view. As you're standing on the deck, you are right here on the beach. So if you're into that sort of thing, this camper is available this weekend. You can certainly give us a call at the campground or book online at cedarpondcamping.com. Anyway, the reason I was turning on the camera this morning is I wanted to basically go over some of the updates that we have been doing around the campground and some of the upgrades, and also talk to you about some of the vacancies we have for this upcoming weekend. So this camper is one of them, and we'll just take a few minutes and walk around the campground, and I'll show you some of the other sites and units that are available this weekend. So let's go ahead and walk around the campground. And since we're down near the beach, we're going to start with the beach, and I'll just stay above the beach. And as you can see, we've moved all of our rental boats down near the water to make it easy for anyone to rent them. The paddle boat is over there. We've laid out the chairs. We've recently picked up this screen room because sometimes in the evening the bugs can be a little pesky, so we've added the screen room. So if you do want to come down on the beach and the bugs are a little aggressive, you can always go inside this screen room and pull up a chair and enjoy the beach from the safety of the screen room. We've added, I'm going to call this our beach toys section. So inside those totes there's a bunch of games that can be played outdoors. We've got a bunch of flotation devices over here on the side, as well as footballs, volleyballs, soccer balls, beach balls. We've got all kinds of stuff. Down just past that picnic table, as you can see, we've built a fire pit right here on the beach, and that has been a very popular addition to the campground. And of course we've got some wood over there to feed the fire. And all right, so let's continue up into the campground and we can talk about more of the upgrades that we've got going on. Okay, this shed is a new addition for us. It's actually repurposing a shed that was up on the landing that was on a previous seasonal guest campsite, and it was just a random shed sitting on the landing. It was kind of out of place up there since there's no seasonal camper up there anymore. We emptied out the shed, cleaned it out, and we are now using it as our paddle and life jacket storage. And it's right down here near the beach. It's going to store our life jackets and paddles for all of the boats going forward. All right, this right here is site number 1. It is kind of a tricky site to sell because it is very close to the road, but it's a full hookup site, fairly level, and one of the best things that it has is its proximity. So as you can see, the road's right there. One of the things that its advantage is it does have a great view of the mountains there off in the distance. So but this site is available this weekend and it can accommodate very, very large rigs. So in terms of if you are a big rig person, 35 feet and up, this is probably the only site I've got available for this weekend, but it is here if you want it. And it's got a nice picnic table and a little fire pit, and then that canoe is there just to provide a little bit of separation from the road to the campsite. All right, this is site 5. While technically a site, it's not a very popular site for 2 reasons. Number one, it's close proximity to the road and the office, so there's a lot of foot traffic through here as well. And number 2, it's an extremely small site. It can only accommodate the smallest of campers, so you van lifers, if you're needing a place to park, this is a good full hookup site for you. right here at the campground. But anything bigger than like a Sprinter van or a teardrop or a pop-up, that site is really not a viable site for anything bigger than that. So, because behind that site is site 4 further back, and that site will be occupied this weekend. All right, this is what we call cabin number 6. It's not that we have 6 cabins, it's the fact that number 6 is actually site number 6. So this is the cabin. It is available this weekend, and let's take a quick look inside so you can see what you'd be getting if you rented this cabin. First of all, our 2 cabins boast a nice little screen room. I've got a smaller table on order to put in here so it doesn't take up so much space, and you can get all 4 of these chairs in there once that new table arrives. But nice area to get out of the bugs but yet still be outside. All right, let's go inside. So we'll start with the bedrooms. This cabin has 2 bunks and a full-size bed. So unfortunately, you're sharing a room with your kids in this cabin because they're not the biggest. What they've done with these cabins is they put a premium on living room space or living area space. So you've got, a little dinette, a couch that actually turns into a sleeper if you needed extra bed or wanted to separate yourselves, and then obviously a small little kitchen. And of course a full bathroom, which use toilet, sink, and shower is behind this door. And then your TV. So that's cabin number 6. And if cabin number 8 were available, which is the next one up the hill, that has the exact same floor plan. So whether you get 6 or 8, you're getting the same cabin. All right, this is site number 7, which is also available this weekend. And this is the tent site closest to the beach and closest to the road. This site does have water. It does not have power. There is a power connection there, but it's not turned on. It's an old system and it's on the future for upgrade, but it's not been upgraded yet. And there is a sewer connection if you needed sewer. So, but that one obviously has a picnic table and a fire pit, and you do have water on this site. Let's go up the hill. All right, this is our double site up here. This is site number 9. This is one of our rental units. This will be occupied this weekend. A family member of mine is coming to visit, and he'll be in there this weekend. But this site is site number 11, and this is available. It also has water and a sewer connection, but no power. And this site is long enough to accommodate a very large camper, as long as you can squeeze it in between here and the forest. That's probably about a 24 feet opening there, so it's not too tight, but anybody with some skills at backing up their camper should be able to pull in here and then back it into this corner. It's not a complete 90 degree, it's at a bit of an angle, so it's an easy back in for a camper that can make its own power. But this is site number 11. And even further up the hill, right across from our bathhouse, we have site 13 and we have site 15. 13 does have water but no power, and it's a pretty decent sized site. You can get a 30-foot camper in here fairly easily. Pretty sure this also has a sewer connection. But even if it didn't, we do have a dump station, and I do have a cart that can dump your tanks if need be. And yes, there is a sewer connection underneath that rock right there. So yes, this site has water and sewer, just like number 11, just like number 7, but it has no power. So you would have to make your own power up here, but it does have a picnic table and a fire ring. And site 13 is our best site if you like to do tent camping and sleep in a hammock, because there are plenty of trees up here. You may have to put them up in these trees in between 13 and 15, but yes, it's a good hammock site. And then right next to 13 up here is site number 15. Now this site has no hookup whatsoever. Does have a fire ring and a picnic table. There is a spigot there, but it's part of an old plumbing system that no longer is connected, so that spigot does not work at all. And there is no sewer up here, so this is completely dry camping. And again, you can easily do a hammock tree to tree or over here, although that one's right over the fire pit. But there are ways to get hammocks up here. Now next to this bathhouse, very near in the future, we're going to be doing an ATV rinse station. And I'm calling it a rinse station because our well is just down the hill, about halfway down. And I don't want any soaps or chemicals being poured on the ground up here, because being above the well, ultimately whatever goes on the ground up here is going to end up in the well. So so we will allow in the very near future for you to rinse your ATV up here. You'll just have to bring them up, park it next to the bathhouse right here, and you can rinse off your ATVs. We'll provide a hose and everything, possibly even a brush or two, but that will be a service that we'll be offering soon as I have time to connect everything up. All right, let's continue. All right, here are sites 17, which is a nice long site. You can get a pretty decent sized camper in here. It's level, except for the fact you've got a couple stumps in the way, but you can easily fit a camper right on this side of the stump and get it to the right of that, and then you have this space for your outdoor living area. But yeah, you can get a 30-foot camper in here, although it is a tight turn. It's a 90-degree site relative to the road, and the road is narrow. So in order to get a camper in here, you would probably have to invade site 16 briefly to get your camper in here. So although you can fit a big one in here, it is a tight turn, and you've got to be really good at backing in your camper to get it to go in here. But you can wiggle it in here if you had to. But it is a nice private site up here in the woods. And then site 16 is a much easier site to get into, because the angle of approach, you just basically drive up here and you can back your camper right in here. And again, it's fairly level, and you can get probably a 30-foot camper in here. But again, 17 and 16 have no hookups whatsoever, but we do provide a fire pit and a picnic table on each. Another note on 13 and 15, those sites, you can easily get a camper in there. They are a little on the shorter side. I probably wouldn't go more than a 28-foot camper on those sites. One of our most remote sites, we're about as far away from the office as we can get in this campground, but this is site 18. You're not going to get very much in here in terms of a camper. You can probably do a pop-up, a teardrop. Van lifer could go in here, but other than that, this road is pretty narrow on both sides, and maneuvering a long trailer is not going to be possible with this site. But for you small rig people, site 18 is a good one. It does not have any hookups whatsoever, so you'd be completely dry on this one. This one here, when I get to it, will be the future site of a glamping tent. We've identified this site as a good glamping tent spot. Let's continue. All right, this is site number 22. This is also available this weekend. It's right next to one of our seasonal guests. These folks are super nice people. So no worries if you are parking your rig right next to them. They are great people to talk to, and they won't give you any problems. But site 22 is right here, and then this area is all your outdoor space for your site. So it's a pretty good sized site. It can accommodate rigs up to about 35 feet. So yeah, it's another decent site that's available right now for this weekend. This here is technically part of Site 24. This area right here. It is basically, you walk up the hill here and you've got a tent site right up here in the woods. They call that the 24X, and essentially what it is it's supposed to be an add-on as part of this site right here. But since I've been here, I haven't seen anyone use that tent area as part of this site. So what I'm probably going to do is make this site its own site. It's going to be a tent site, no hookups, and it will be the cheapest site in the park. I'm going to price it at $20 a night, and basically you would park your rig right here, and then you would have all that space up there for your activities. Be a nice private site in the woods. And then of course Site 24 would be this site, and it's going to be its own site. And then you have this one here. Right now 24, because it includes that area up there, is priced at the most expensive site in the park, and it just doesn't sell very well. This guy's only here because he booked himself site number 1 and has children with him, and he did not want to be that close to the road, so I went ahead and put him in this site, knowing that it probably wouldn't sell anyway. And then right next to that site, and as you can see, I've got a tree I've got to remove. I don't know why that is doing that, but I'll get over here and get that site. Right now this site is available. This is site number 26. I am having a little bit of a problem with that pedestal right now. The 20 amp breaker is no good in that pedestal, but the 30 amp works fine and the 50 amps works fine. So if you are needing full hookups on a 30 or a 50 amp connection, we can accommodate you on site 26 this weekend. But because I've had the electrical issue with this site, I have taken it offline. So if you want this site, you're going to have to call us at 603-631-5753, and I'll be happy to basically manually book you in this site if you want it, knowing the fact that you cannot use the 20 amp outlet there. And the last remaining site that we have on the property is site number 29. And it is a site that can accommodate larger rigs. It's got a little bit of green space on both sides of the camper, although on the preferred side it is fairly limited. And this camper right here is actually my camper, so you're not going to see much activity at that camper. I'll be in and out of it all day, but it's basically just me and me alone that lives in that camper. So obviously having me as a neighbor is not going to be much of a problem. I'm not going to be bringing any parties next to you, so this site is available. Essentially my camper being there kind of blocks you in and gives you a bit of privacy. Now 29 is close to the entrance of the campground. One of the campground entrances is right there, and the public area is all right here. So this public pavilion and then the public screen-in room, we call it our outdoor living room because it has seating. Essentially, I think it's for 9 people can sit in there, and it's got coffee tables so you can bring your dinner in here and escape the bugs and just hang out in here. This is available for anyone to use at any time. And then of course we have our outdoor pavilion, which has picnic tables. We've got a grill and a Blackstone. If you need to cook something and don't have a way to cook it, you can bring your meal over here and cook it over here. Our Coke machine is up and running, although it is an older machine. So if you want to get anything out of it, it's quarters only. There's no dollar taker, there's no card, there's none of that. I mean, as you can see, the logo's on it. It's a pretty old machine, but it works great, keeps great cold soda, and is a nice little perk to have if you get thirsty and don't want to run to the store. All right, one last thing I wanted to add about the outdoor pavilion is the TV that we've added to this place. So if you want to use the TV, you simply just have to remove the cover. It's only Velcroed on. The remote for the TV is right here in the pocket. It's it's a Roku. Well, it's an older TV, but it's I've got a Roku stick on it, so everything is Roku. If the whole system is not powered on, you just simply power it on right here. Turn on this breaker right here, and that will power everything up. And like any campground, we do have a bit of a campground store. First of which, we have plenty of firewood for the weekend. We also have bags of ice. We have bug spray if you need it. Obviously the soda machine for drinks. And we have lots of various other things that some campground needs. Our store isn't big, so we don't have a whole lot. But we do have the very basics. And we also, for you ATV people, we have trail maps available for $15. This map is very detailed. It's a paper map. It's updated every year. It was updated just this spring. It is a good map to have in your pocket when you're up on the ATV trails, because in a lot of places there is no cell phone coverage on those trails. So having a paper map is definitely a good investment. So we have those as well. Oh, and the last thing I wanted to mention with the campground this weekend, we are having an open house, open to the public on Saturday. We're having a luau party down on the beach, and that's open to the public. Anybody can come. You don't need to be staying here to come to that. And it goes from 4 to 8 p.m. and it's potluck style. So if you do come, we ask that you bring a dish, and then you know, you can have a nice hearty meal potluck style, and just celebrate the opening or the changing of the management in the campground. So that'll be it for this video, and we'll see you in the next one.